Hello, everyone, and welcome to Special Olympics Washington Return to Activity Non-Sporting Training. Today, we're going to review our Return to Activity Phased Plan Timeline, our state mandate current and future, on-site at gatherings, further instructions, needed documentation, and support. First, let's start with our phased plan review. Special Olympics Washington is following our Washington State phased plan as close as possible. You will see that we have four similar but separate phase plans. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Special Olympics Washington's Return to Activity for non-sporting activities. Hello, and welcome to Special Olympics Washington's Return to Activity for non-sporting events. Today, we'll briefly review our Return to Activity phase timeline, Washington State's mandate current and future, on-site at gatherings, further instructions, including needing documentation, and support. First, let's start with the phase plan review of our Special Olympics Washington timeline. So we are, as you can see, are following Washington State's phased plan as close as possible. You will see that we have four separate phases. The policies and procedures that we have put into place are to protect the health and well-being of all participants. We ask that you please respect these guidelines. Should anyone choose to gather for any reason, first and foremost, adhere to the mandates within your state and your specific county. This had to be filled out within the application that you've already submitted. What phase your county is in. Any state mandate overrides the current phase of operation for each county. As of today, the current restrictions are gatherings are permitted for 5 individuals outside of a household per week. That is dependent upon where you live in the state. So some counties may be further along in phases than others. Please remember that these are subject to change, so let's be flexible and understanding. As of right now, our current restrictions have been extended to January 4th. Please review the Special Olympics Washington website for the status of in-person gatherings. We understand the desire for everyone to gather. We want that as well, and we appreciate that you will follow our step-by-step process to beginning with the application to make sure that we're gathering safely. Now, you've already completed the online application and have agreed to be the event or activity lead. So the second step is to complete this training. Thank you for doing so. We continue to stress the protocols are in place for everyone's safety. It's not to make your life harder. So we thank you for respecting this process. On the sports side, coaches are able to submit a roster for 4 athletes to gather in person with approval during an 8-week sports period. When applying for non-sports activities, you chose one-time activity or a reoccurring activity. Now, for the one-time activity, we must adhere by the state and county mandates. Right now, that includes those 5 people outside of your household per week, and including social distance measurings, masks, staying 6 feet apart. Now, if you're applying for a reoccurring activity, it'll be handled similarly to our sports teams, just how they are per season, meaning it must include the same individuals, up to 5 individuals outside of your house and yourself. So if you have a desire to gather with numerous groups, there will be a 2-week quarantine period that will be required before another in-person gathering with athletes will be approved. An application needs to be turned in to SOA via the website, just as you have before, for every gathering that you are wanting to host. So let's say on December 4th, you have been approved and you gather with a few individuals. You turn in all of the needed paperwork, which we'll go through in a few slides. You then want to gather with another group of individuals, different from whom you've gathered with on Friday the 4th. You will then have to wait a 2-week period, which would then allow you to gather with them after December 18th. So there's that 2-week gap. We want to make sure that if anything were to come up, we're all clear. Now, once you get approved on site, what does the gathering look like? So let's discuss the precautions on site. Please ensure that you, as the event or activity lead, have the following items. Masks for all participants. They can bring their own, but please have extras. pens and hand sanitizer, COVID release, waiver, screening and tracking form. We'll review these in a minute. Hand sanitizer wipes, first aid pouch, no contact thermometer, and disposable gloves if needed. Steps for setting up an activity. So in general, we ask that you utilize the resources that we're providing to make sure that we provide a safe environment for everyone. This includes setting up signs. We've included directional and social distancing signs. These will be sent electronically to you. If you would prefer that we print them for you, happy to do so. Just let your SOA staff contact know. Maintain at least 6 feet distance from one another at all times. So spread out tables or stations to make sure that they're at least 6 feet apart. Avoid any activity with close contact, and consider using visual markers such as tape or objects to mark distances on the ground. Mask up. Wear a cloth face covering that covers your nose and your mouth at all times. Avoid touching outside of the mask. Have extra face coverings and disposable masks available for everyone. A visual explanation of the do's and don'ts for wearing a mask will be provided to you as the event and activity lead. Feel free to post these on site. It's encouraged. Wash up. Wash hands for 20 seconds with soap and warm water, or use hand sanitizer before and after any activities. Wash hands after sneezing, coughing, using the bathroom, or eating. Avoid touching your face. Have hand sanitizer available at all times during your in-person gathering. Keep it clean. We want to make sure that we're monitoring and sanitizing all of the equipment as well. Don't forget those pens that you pass out for registration and waiver signing. Screening participants. It's very important that Special Olympics Washington receives the screening form back. This form includes participants' name, their role on site, contact information, confirmed signed code of conduct, and notes if they have any signs or symptoms of COVID. Remember, if you or anyone feels sick and showing signs of COVID, stay home. Don't even attend the gathering. The COVID release form is the waiver that will need to be signed by everyone in attendance and turned back into SOA. Anyone under the age of 18 will have to have a parent or guardian sign. Same goes for the participant code of conduct. This is an additional resource for the event or activity lead, so yourself, and for Special Olympics Washington to collect participant understanding of in-person risk. For example, any participant could get coronavirus through a group activity. Participating or choosing to participate is doing so at their own risk. This form will need to be collected and handed back into SOA. It's extremely important that Special Olympics Washington gets the hard copies of these 3 documents: a participant code of conduct and the COVID waiver per person, and 1 screening tracking form. We cannot stress enough that failure to return these forms back to SOA will result in an automatic denial of any future in-person gatherings. Thank you for your time and your energy. We appreciate your support in guiding you through this process of a successful, safe in-person gathering. Now please complete the next question in this survey that you have completed and understand everything in this training. If you need further explanation or have any questions, please contact your SOA staff lead or myself, Ellie.